Nedum and Alexis have been standing by the way, and they've had lots of technical problems. So lucky them. And instead of just running away, they've stayed the professionals that they are. Obviously, we've just reflected on Aston Villa against West Ham. Guys, what would you like to add?
Oh, we have a lot to add. Well, Nedum's embarrassed, so he turned off his heated gilet. But let's not talk about that, shall we, Nedum? Aston Villa, they finally showed up in the second half, didn't they?
Yeah, they sure did, yeah. I think it's fair enough to say that Unai probably told them that was unacceptable in the first half.
That was embarrassing, not unacceptable.
Yes, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. And they very much stepped forward in the second half. You know, they were more aggressive in terms of how they attacked. I think West Ham at times played into their hands in terms of allowing a bit more space for Villa to run into. But then some of that maybe is down to the changes that they had to make. I think Somerville was doing a good job in the first half for West Ham.
Yeah.
So for him having to come off, and then for, you know, let's say the purist isn't exactly the most exciting right side in all of football with Wan-Bissaka and Soufal. You know, defensively they're fine, but all of a sudden they lost that spark, that ability to go forward. And the same, unfortunately, with Danny Ings, you know, when he had to come on for Fulkrug. So it's not their best version, but I think for Potter, you'll see some positives, but this is the Villa that we expected to see. If they would have started the game like this game could have been out of hand very, very quickly. But instead, you know, they're in the name's in the hat for the draw for the next round, and given how bad they've been historically in this competition, I think it's what Emery said. He wants to win a trophy, and, you know, that's the first step.
Well, continuing to look at it from the West Ham perspective, of course, Graham Potter, this is his first game in charge right now. We're trying to figure out what identity he could give to this team going forward, especially with the players that he has. He's talked so much about wanting to play possession-based football, wanting to be able to score the goals as well. You did speak about how they do have to sort out that defense as well, because they have conceded some of the most goals in the Premier League so far. They have some of the least possession in the Premier League so far as well. So what do you think he's thinking after what he saw today, barring the injuries?
I think he's going to be realistic. You know, he's not been with the team for long enough to really be able to sort of make a difference as such. But I think there'll be certain elements of what he's tried to show them today. I think more of like a boxing midfield, being organised, making it difficult. And I think the fact that he could hold a Premier League team to no shots in the first half, that's credit to you. I think that is definitely a step in the right direction. And don't get me wrong, the second half was more of an onslaught. But they're still very much in the game. They had chances right at the end. And I think they still had that belief. I think given the fact that they've been bad enough to where they needed to change their manager, you think that maybe the performance could have been a bit like today's goal, but I don't think it was. I think as he looks at his side, he's obviously going to be looking to get some players back fit as soon as possible. He's captain Bowen, you know, seeing a Fulkrug, hopefully he's not out for too long. Somerville, you know, these are good attacking players.
Yeah.
If he gets those, then maybe he can have a style of play which the fans will enjoy, because for the majority of the game, their fans were into it. But then as the second half wore on, it got a little bit quieter, which is understandable.
It got a lot bit quieter. I'm going to put you on the spot, though, because like I said, new manager, January transfer window very much open. He's probably wondering who he can bring in to strengthen this squad. But I do know that you picked out a couple of players on this West Ham time that you said, and I quote, past it.
Past it?
Past it. Or just not the same anymore, probably, if you're trying to rebuild a new West Ham going
With all due
forward.
respect, like Danny Ings, I think he's been a very, very good player, but for the way he played against, say, this Aston Villa lineup today, you know, he's less of a physical match for the likes of Ings and Konza. I don't think his pace at the moment is really there to where he can be a really big threat in behind. Whereas I think when you sort of perceive the best versions of West Ham, you're seeing a Jared Bowen. You're probably going to see a Fulkrug using his body. You see an Antonio, combination of the two. So I think when that happened, they lost that ability to really be able to stretch the game. And I think at times it cost them territory. So I don't think he's necessarily going to be the answer for them. But with Fulkrug being out, maybe it's time to go into the market and find somebody who can maybe fill those boots. Because, again, we don't know how long Antonio is going to be out for as well. But I think if they want to be successful, they need to have a striker that's going to be firing and one that can take them up the field, which, unfortunately, they didn't have after that substitution needed to be made.
Well, hopefully we do see Fulkrug and Mikel Antonio back for West Ham very soon. But just final thoughts, I suppose, then on Aston Villa now, because we spoke about in the pre-show how, you know, Unai Emery has prioritized this competition. We know it's a way back in Europe for them as well. Have they shown that they can go for the long run in this competition as well? Because this is the furthest they've made it, back in the fourth round again, which is where they fell last year, and they've been falling in the third round before this. So have they shown that they can finally get past?
Yeah, but I think it just depends what exactly you're trying to show, because I think as you look back to last season, you know, the current holders of the Cup are Manchester United, and we saw them play against Liverpool side in the quarter-final and have a great game. Then you saw them against Coventry in the semi and they were a disaster. So you think at that point...
Disaster got through.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point. I think as far as it comes to the FA Cup, it's about getting into the later rounds. You're in the fourth round. Can you get to the next round? Can you get to the next round? And can you win those big games along the way? And they've shown that they can change their performance, find a way to win. And I think as a consequence, they'll be a very dangerous side in that draw.
Who won that final, by the way, again?
I don't know, whoever played in the Community Shield or whatever. I'm not sure.
Oh, all right. Nedum's still a bit sore, Dan.
Thank you very much. Alexis, where are you going tomorrow? Which game are you covering for us tomorrow?
Oh, well, I'm kind of alongside Danny, and I'm doing the absolute massive game that is Chelsea against Morecambe. Never seen Morecambe play. To be honest, I'm not really sure exactly where it is, but I'm excited to be back at Stamford Bridge.
Geography, where's Morecambe, Craig?
Northwest.
Northwest, there we are. Thank you very much.
Blackpool.
Nedum,
And the coast.
Okay.
It rains a lot.
Nedum, where are you going?
I'm just going to take the day off tomorrow. I'm going to leave you with Mark Ogden doing the double bubble, doing the Liverpool-Man City combo. It's going to be a great day for him, and I'm sure he'll be in a great mood.
I'm sure he'll be full of smiles, as always.